everyone, it's Miss Rebecca. I went and saw this beautiful painting at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's a seascape, a painting of the ocean. Isn't it beautiful? Look at the sky, look at the horizon. We're going to create our own seascape today, just like this artist, Edward Monet. But we're going to make it like this, a little bit more stylistic. All right, let's get started. First, fold your paper into a long horizontal fold like that, so that it's not quite in half, it's about 3/4 from the top. Draw a line, a horizontal line, all the way across from side to side, following the fold. Now you're going to use a bowl or some kind of circle to trace. Place it in the center of your paper, and you're going to hold it down tight with one finger or two fingers. Hold it down and then lightly drag your pencil across the top so that you have a half circle. And that is your sun on the horizon. Now take a cup or a smaller circle tracer and place that at the right side of your paper, right on top of your fold, right on top of your horizon line. And then hold that cup down tight with your fingers and drag your pencil around the circle shape and stop right before you hit the outer edge of your paper. Leave a little space there. Now you're going to use an eraser and erase inside the smaller circle. So we're going to erase everything inside because you don't need that. So this is going to represent the top of a huge wave. So I'm just erasing, making sure that I got everything erased, and then brush away the eraser crumbs. Okay, so now we're going to make a spiral. I love spirals. Spirals are like swirly, curly line. So here we go. I'm just following the shape of the circle, but my line is going to come around and get a little bit tighter and tighter, and it keeps going around and around until I get to the center, and it looks like a curl, and that's a spiral. So I want you guys to try that, okay? I know it's not easy. Give it a try. Now, where we ended, I want you to now make a point and follow that spiral, follow that curve all the way around. And we're going to start this wave with this curl here. So I'm just following around the shape of this circle, and it could go off the paper here, or it could come right around. So watch what I do. I'm curling around again, starting a new line, and this one it's just following the same shape of that smaller circle and curling around. So I'm repeating these curves inside the spiral. Okay, so it looks as if the top of the wave is curling around. Now starting here, we're going to make a long wavy line that's going to tilt downwards. So it's a long, see how I'm going slanted diagonally? And I'm going to make it a little bump and a wavy line. It's going to come all the way down to the opposite bottom corner of your paper. So you see I came all the way down to that bottom left corner with this long diagonal slanted line here. And that is the beginning of your giant wave. So we're going to now add some more diagonal, curvy, slanted lines following the shape of that huge wave. So you can add as many lines as you like, but they should be following that same direction, that slanted curve of the wave. So I just added two lines there on the bottom right side. And now I'm going to start making long, wavy lines that go right up to the point of this wave here. So I'm going to do this again. I'm going to keep repeating this same wavy line. It just goes up and down, and it meets the curl of your spiral. So you see that? It's going to meet right there. And I'm just repeating as many of these as you like. These are little waves in the ocean, and they just bump up and bump down, bump up and down, bump up and down. It's a wave. And we're going to add several of these until we get to the horizon, which is that fold that we first did, or your horizontal line, which is your straight line. And that's the horizon line. That just means that's where the ocean meets the sky. You see where the sun is? Okay, so the ocean and the sky meet right there at the fold. That's your horizon line. Now, this is the sky, but we're still going to add a bump here that cuts right over the sun, and that's going to be a landform, a land mass that's in the background. Now, you could take your bowl or your large circle stencil and trace a little bit of it if you want to, or you could just do it freehand like I did there. It's just a big curve, and make sure you erase the sun because the sun is behind the land mass. And there we have, it looks like an island in the background, doesn't it? So the ocean is in the front, the island is way back there in the distance, right on top of the horizon. And now I'm just making little bumps, little tiny bump, 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 up and down, up and down. And it will look like little trees or bushes or some kind of landforms, rocks in the distance. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is the sun rays. Start in the middle of the sun, right at the top, make a straight vertical line going up, and the rays, they start to slant towards the corner or towards the left side there. Notice they get more and more diagonal as you go down. Now start the right side. As you get towards the corner, they slant a little bit more to the right, and there we have a shining sun. And that is the basic drawing of your seascape with a giant wave. All right, let's start to color. You're going to use markers only, and you see I have warm colors on one side, which is my yellow, red, and orange. And I'm going to start with yellow. I like to always start with the lighter color. So I'm going to outline everything that's yellow. So the sun is definitely going to be yellow. And I'm going to do a pattern where I do one ray yellow, and then I skip 2 spaces, and then I do another sun ray yellow. Skip 2 spaces, and skip 2 spaces, and outline that yellow. Skip 2 spaces, and outline that yellow. And notice I'm just outlining, I'm not filling it all in yet. Now I'm going to use orange, which is another warm color, and I'm going to put the orange after the yellow. So everywhere that I have the yellow, I'm going to find the yellow, and then the next space next to it will be orange, and that's the pattern. So yellow, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, orange. And that is your pattern until you get all the way across and you're finished with the orange. And you just outlined this section. You did not color it in. The last one is red, and the only section left will be red. So any of those blank sections, you can go ahead and outline those with red, and you'll see your pattern emerge. It's your warm color pattern of red, orange, yellow, red, orange, yellow, red, orange, yellow. Okay, now we're going to use green to outline our landmass, so just outline that. The bump is green, and the little rocks or trees in the front will be outlined with black. So I'm just outlining these little bumps with black. There we go. And now we're going to change to our blue and our cool colors. So let's start with blue. I like to start with the spiral. And I'm just going to follow that curl and carefully outline my spiral with blue. So I started in the middle of my spiral, and I follow that shape or that curve all the way around. There we have that. Now I'm going to change to purple, and I'm going to pick a spot. I'll pick this spot here, right on top of the spiral, and I'll outline that section with purple. There is no right or wrong answer. Usually I just like to alternate between purple and blue to do this outline. So I'll pick a couple of lines and outline them with purple, and then I'll switch and outline them with blue, and then I'll switch and outline them with green. So just kind of alternate. So let's start with the blue. We'll start at the top, and then I'll skip 2 lines and do my next blue line. I'll skip 2 lines and do my next blue outline. See that? Now I'm going to switch to green, and the pattern will be everywhere there's blue will be the next color will be green. So I go find the blue line, and the next one under it will be green. And the remaining lines I'll outline with purple. And again, as long as you're using cool colors for the water or the ocean part, there's no right or wrong how you do that. Now I'm going to fill in the sun with my yellow marker. So just take your time and fill in the whole sun with yellow. Make that nice and bright and solid with your marker. Now we're going to do a technique where it's just water. There's no watercolor set involved. So you just have water, that's it. And I'm taking the water and I'm going right on top of the marker. Notice that the marker then turns to paint. It magically turns into paint. It starts to blend like watercolor. Now this has to dry. So before you can move on, let this dry completely. See how it's all blended, and it looks pretty cool. So now it's dry, and I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. I'm only taking water, and I'm going over the water part, the ocean part, with water. I'm just going right on top of those blue, purple, and green lines. And what you're going to notice is that a lot of blending is happening, and that's good. Let those colors blend together. But because we let the top dry already, it's not blending with the orange part in the sky. Now, if that orange part was still wet on the top, then the blue would blend with the sky. So you have to make sure the top was dry before you did that. Now I waited for the blue to be dry before I did this part again. So I waited a little bit before I filled in this landmass with green, because you didn't want your hand to get all wet, right? Because it would if you didn't let it dry. So I just filled in the green and the black of the landmass, and there we go. Now, I taped all around the outside here because my paper was starting to curl up a little bit. Now you can do this part, or you could be finished with your painting. It's up to you. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to add a little bit of texture to each section now. I'm taking my marker again. Everything is dry, and I'm going to put little dashes, little tiny red dashes inside the red section. So I'm finding the red section, I'm outlining it, and then I'm just adding these little tiny dots or little tiny dashes inside the red section. It's just like dot, 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 dash, 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 dash. That's all. Nothing crazy. Now look at that. It's going to add a little bit of flavor and a little bit of texture to your drawing. So if you want to do this, you can do it. If you don't like it, leave your painting how it is. Changing to orange, and I'm going to do that same texture technique. I'm going to outline the section with my orange marker, and then I'm going to do little tiny dashes and dots in that section, right on top of the dry paint part. Okay. And again, we didn't use any paint for this. I shouldn't have said paint. This was done only with marker and water, but it looks like paint. It looks like watercolor paint, but it's just water on top of the marker, and that's the effect you'll get. So that's pretty cool, right? Now, I'm going to continue with adding dots and dashes to each section, and I'm going to do some blue now. So I'm going to outline the water, those wavy lines, and pick a section and then start doing little dots and dashes inside that section. Dot, 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 dash, dash, dash. And this can take some time, and you can just meditate as you do this, because it's time consuming to put all these little dots and dashes. And I'm going to do another section here. I outlined the waves first, and then I'm just doing my dots and dashes. Dots and dashes gives it a little texture, and it gives it a little movement. And again, you could do this, or you could just leave your painting as is if you don't like the way this looks. So now I'm going to switch to purple. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to outline 2 of the wavy lines, and then inside that section I'm adding my dots and dashes, filling in the whole section. Okay. Sometimes painters would use little dots and dashes with their paintbrush. They would do this, and they would paint just like this. But we're using markers, so this is our own little technique. But it's a pretty cool technique, I think. So you could take it or leave it. It's up to you. But again, it's just a different look to your picture. So I'm just adding more dots and dashes for texture and movement, and each section gets all of these little dashes and dots. And then when you're ready, you can remove your tape. It's up to you if you want to continue with these dots and dashes. I can get really into it and just continue all day long with these dots and dashes. So I'm just going to finish up with the purple, and little purple dots and dashes. Here we go. And there we have it. Okay, so now you can remove the tape. Excellent. And there you go. Please post your Seascape marker water illustrations on Google Classroom. Bye guys, thank you.